What is up, podheads? Back with another episode of the Podioslave podcast. My name is Tony, joined as always by Anthony.
Tony, gang's all here.
Too many Tonys back at it. And I just want to, real quick, behind the nerd for some folks. And we'll keep it brief just because we've got a great conversation coming up here after the intro. But we just had an interview with somebody else, right? And it's always hard switching gears to do the intro now that we've started doing this a little differently. But, like, I'm glad we're doing it differently because we recorded this conversation like 10 days ago, right? So it would be stupid to do it then and then have stuff be dated. Now, it's nice to have this problem where we get to talk to all these different people in the music industry from different scenes, different genres. It's what you come to Podioslave for if you're a music nerd like we are. But my head is in a pretzel right now. I don't know about you.
Well, yeah, again, behind the scenes, I think at this point we have like 7 episodes banked. And that's a new thing for us. For the old school listeners, there was a time we used to record on one night and the episode would release the next day.
Yeah. And then we get a little better at editing. We'd record like Tuesday and release it the following Monday, but we'd have nothing lined up once we were releasing. So
it was a week to week problem. Like, and it was not that you'd like take what you can get, but you try to slot people in, right? You try to slot people in, or you would just say, hey, like, we don't have a guest. We're going to do a segment or an album, and that's why I think if you look at the early catalog, there's a lot of segments and prompt related episodes, where more recent it's interviews and album deep dives, because these require a lot of planning and a lot of prep and a lot of like digging back the memory banks like tonight. And I kind of like what we're doing now a lot more because there's a runway, there's planning, there's, it's not a scramble, at least for me.
Yeah. And that end, we're able to do the album deep dives. We always talked about this early on. Like, we want to know some of this stuff about maybe a record that came out, say, 20 years ago, maybe by the band Acceptance, maybe with 2 of the members, maybe with conversation about back in the day and the new stuff, because the record, they reimagined the record and it's out, right? It came out last Friday. So it's fun to do it this way and be ahead of the game. And we get to ask the questions of the band themselves, which, was always a dream when we started this thing. And now we're doing it, and that's pretty cool.
It is kind of cool. And actually, I kind of like the fact that we had the conversation you're going to listen to about 2 weeks ago. And I don't even remember all of it. So I do listen to our episodes after we put them out because I like to, there's a reason why we do it.
Support the scan.
Support the scan, right? And it's like, all right, I want to kind of relive that. But yeah, we talked with Ryan and Kaylan from Acceptance, and they were a band that we've had penciled in, I think, since the jump, specifically to talk Phantoms. Like that to me, that is my favorite Acceptance album. So when they were doing this reimagining, right, Phantoms 20, it's always a risk to do that. It really is. Like a reimagine or re-record. In this case, they bring features on every track, and I think they nail it. And those are tough songs to recreate. Like that was their was it the major label debut?
Yeah,
Columbia back in the day.
Yeah, and we get into how that all happened, right? Like we don't just jump into the new stuff. We talk about how they got on Columbia, the process to go from being just out of high school and then putting this record together, right? We get all the backstory on the record in the moment, for 2004, 2005. And then how the new reimagining with features on the tracks came to be, and some of the people who have revered this record for as long as we have, Anthony, you especially, but like some of the musicians that are just fans of Acceptance and got to join for the reimagining. Pretty amazing stuff.
It is amazing. Well, it's funny you say I revere this album. I do, and there's a story at the beginning about how I should have saw them in 2005, but I didn't. But there's still a chance for me to see them. They're playing in October, Worcester, Brooklyn, and Philly. So if you're on the East Coast, there's an opportunity to see them. And if there's any way for me to be there, I'm going to be there.
Well, and you have a golden ticket, which, listen to the interview to figure that out.
But I love that this kind of comeback is on Equal Vision, right? So they never kind of forgot their roots and the scene that was behind them from the jump. But I'm stoked for these guys. And that's the thing is, like, when you celebrate these, albums, whether it's 20, 25 years, whatever it is, you can unlock a whole new audience. And I think with some of these features, they're actually they're actually gonna do that, and
Absolutely.
they're probably already seeing it.
Yeah, it's smart to do it this way too. Like, why re-record it and have it be exactly the same? No, let's do something different. Let's pull some people in who love the record and have, maybe we've been talking with about it, and they're like, oh, I'd love to be on that song, and they do that, and then they tell a story about how it happened. So it's really cool, and we love doing this, and we're happy that you're here to check out our conversation with Ryan and Kaylan of Acceptance.
Ryan, Kaylan from Acceptance, thanks for coming on with us tonight. And it is tonight. Sometimes it's day, sometimes it's night. It's tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We are very excited for this. And we go way back. Like, we've been fans for over 20 years, and we came with receipts. You ready for the receipts?
Let's see them.
So a little backdrop.
Purchase.
I've never seen you guys live. However, I tried to once. And we're music nerds. We keep everything. For anyone that's listening, I'm holding up an unused ticket stub to an Acceptance gig from 2005, the Axis Boston, Mass. I bought tickets for $12. The fees were like $4. The fees were like a third of the thing, but I couldn't go. But I hung on to these. These are crisp. These are brand new.
Will they get him into a show now is the question, really.
Yeah.
I think probably work something out. You might have to pay the difference.
Yeah, those are lifelong. And those work for the rest of your natural life.
I love that. I love
It's
that.
like a down payment, right?
I think I remember that show. Is that with the receiving end of Sirens?
It very well might have been. Yeah, it was October 05. So that would have been right in their wheelhouse with Heart and the Synapse.
Random story with that. Ryan, I think that, do you remember on that tour? I think you left for like 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
And I think that was the first show where we had a member from, I think it was oh gosh, I don't even remember. Who else was on? Oh, As Tall as Lions, I think, were on that show too. Anyways,
that tracks.
We had a bunch of different people. They each would learn like 2 songs and come up and play bass for Ryan throughout the set. And it was fun. It was entertaining.
So Anthony missed out.
I can relive it through you guys right now.
Yeah, but that was great. I do remember it being one of the better shows on the East Coast, I feel like, for that tour.
Northeast, baby. That's what we do.
Well, the weird nuance is the way they put your name on the ticket stub. It's the Acceptance. And I feel like, was that a thing back then?
Not that we're aware of.
Well, apparently for Clear Channel, that's Clear Channel. They thought it was the Acceptance, but
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I had a whole question about when did Justin Timberlake tell you to drop the and like all that stuff, but I guess it doesn't track. So sorry, we'll leave it alone.
Yeah, that was a typo.
yeah, that's funny.
Hopefully somebody lost their job over it.
Oh, geez.
So I can't tell if it's impressive or not that I kept this, but I don't know. It made for a cool story, hopefully.
Very impressed.
I'm impressed.
And maybe it'll get you in down the line. Who knows? Because you still got some dates left on the. We're talking to you before any of them have happened, but when this drops, it'll come out in between the shows you're playing for 20 years of Phantoms. But let's dial back the clock a little bit if you guys are down to talk about the 2005 version of Phantoms.
Sure.
Let's do it. So dropped in April of 05, right? And it felt like, and I know Anthony's told me this because he was in the moment a little bit more at the time living in Massachusetts, stuff would come through more there than it does where we're from in Maine. But it felt like it was one of those, if you know, like this record is awesome and people who knew about it really, really rode for it. Could you feel that in the moment?
I mean, on a small scale, I think so. I mean, there was a lot of familiar faces from town to town, but definitely, yeah. So definitely along the lines of, if you know, you know. I think especially in the very early on stages of when we were touring right before that record came out and during.
Yeah, we had a really cool, I mean, because we were touring for a few years before that record came out, and we kind of built up a really cool following on the West Coast. And so I remember, anytime we'd roll through Southern California, a lot of familiar faces, right? Like a lot of people that would consistently come out. A lot of kids from like the hardcore scene were coming out to those shows. And so, that community, right? Like it's a very sort of like, this is our thing. And we felt very embraced by that. So there were pockets where it really did feel like, if you know, you know, and it was like very much a community thing, especially on the West Coast for sure.
Yeah, we I mean, at the time we're still East Coast, but we were East Coast, Massachusetts and Maine, and it made its way over. I mean, you guys played the Access, which, it doesn't even exist anymore, but it was probably 600, 700 cap. Like, that's for a West Coast band. That's legit.
Yeah, I want to say, I mean, that was kind of probably getting close to the end of maybe the touring cycle for Phantoms.
Yeah.
Well, we were basically done, but I feel at that point, I definitely think there was, in the major markets, we definitely felt more at home, as to what you're saying. But we definitely had great support on that tour too, with the Receiving End of Sirens and stuff being kind of local out there as well.
Yeah, we ride for that band pretty hard too. So yeah, that's Anthony, you should have gone, man.
I don't know what happened. I mean, I don't think it was on school break or anything like that. But well, it's interesting. Like, when people think first album, major label debut, they probably think, it's a recent band. But for you guys at the time, you'd been a band for like 6 or 7 years, right?
Yeah. So Jay and I are the two like actual original members, and we started probably like late 98, early 99ish, around then. So yeah, 6 years sounds about right.
So leading up to this, do you remember, because at that point the EP was out, right? Black Lines was out. Do you remember the pivot from EP to full length? Because we've heard it from other bands. That leap, like that mindset, that shift from 5 or 6 songs to a full LP is huge for a lot of bands. Like, do you remember the writing process, crafting a full album? Do you remember those days?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it feeling too crazy. The EP, actually, we had a friends band from the Seattle area, a Vendetta Red, and at the time we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do as far as the label goes, and their lawyer had taken some interest in our band and was like, "Hey, why don't I come watch you guys play, and maybe I can shop you guys around too." So during that process, came watch us play and stuff, and was excited about the band. So he was like, "Why don't you guys go record? Go give me 5 of your best songs or something, and get some good sounding recordings of them. Let's see what we can do." Which we went and did, which was the Black Lines of Battlefields EP that we ended up just releasing on the Militia Group after we got the deal. So we were technically signed.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
To Columbia when we put that EP out, but we wanted to kind of continue to grow kind of organically and continue to tour and stuff. And so we went that route. We were friends with the Militia Group, and they were stoked to put that out for us and kind of keep it kind of, on a smaller level to where we could continue to, kind of organically grow and tour like that before we actually went into do the full length.
Yeah, it gave us some space to kind of cut our teeth a little bit, and what happened with those songs on Black Lines, like, yeah, we recorded them kind of as like a way to establish the band. But what's really cool, I mean, after kind of years go by and you look back retrospectively, it's like a lot of people gravitate towards that, and it kind of built like a thing, and it really did kind of put a foot forward for the band. And I think it really did set kind of like the trajectory for what we would bring into Phantoms, right? So then making that leap, I mean, it felt very natural. I mean, from my perspective, it felt like a natural leap. Like, I think everybody in the band was just super excited to, like, we saw the response taking kind of the Black Line stuff on tour and starting to do those early West Coast, East Coast runs. And then, like, what does that lead into next? And so I think that kind of like fueled a little bit, well, not a little bit, but it fueled excitement going into like the Phantoms writing and production cycle, which is really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So did you have stuff, because that typically doesn't happen, right? Especially for a major label debut or even major label period. Like, usually you bring something to them, right? And in this case, you didn't. You were like, all right, we had the EP, but that came out, we're already signed. Did you just like go in with nothing and then put Phantoms together, or did you have ideas already kind of percolating and ready to go before you get signed?
I think, yeah, we had ideas and stuff. There was probably stuff that we were kicking around during the Black Lines period. Because even Black Lines is kind of a collection of songs that probably spanned maybe a 3-year period. It's just, those are the ones we kind of picked to use to kind of shop the band and see, where we would land. So we definitely had some stuff that was there, prior to actually tracking Phantoms that ended up being on the record.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen a lot, right? Like a lot of times you've got the thing and you bring it to the label, or they see you play and they're like, "Wait, we're in. Like, let's do this," and you've already got stuff ready to go. But major label debut, like that's pretty wild to like jump into that, and have Columbia take notice and have be all in on you guys off of an EP.
It was really surreal. I mean, and especially to have somebody like Matt so excited about her. And I grew up like I used to, intentionally watch 120 minutes and stuff. Like so, to hear like to have him be so excited about the band and stuff was just. It was we were always pinching ourselves. It was crazy. But initially, when we signed to Columbia, though, I think the initial thought process was we weren't going to necessarily be a Columbia brand. They were going to do put us on like an imprint. I think it was called Sony Red, and kind of just keep it more of like an indie feel and have us just keep kind of growing as a band. But when we got close to finishing the record, I think they started hearing some of the songs and that turned into a Columbia release after there was, some excitement within the label about what they were hearing.
That doesn't happen a lot either.
Weird band too, in that sense, right? Like, this was like around the time when some bands from the scene were getting signed to major labels. And I don't know if they quite knew, and like downloading and like online music, like it felt like a weird paradigm shift in the industry. And so I think with a band like us, you don't quite know what to do with it. Like, are they a scene band? Are they an indie band? Are they a big rock band? And I think they were, I don't know if hedging bets, but they were trying to figure out what the identity was going to be. And I think to Kaylan's point, when the record really started forming after we were in the studio with Aaron Sprinkle, I think they saw a little bit more potential for it to be something, other than what they expected when they picked up this band from Seattle, Washington with 5 songs and played a few showcases, that sort of thing, like really, really odd time. And I think we were a weird band in that sense. Like, you don't quite know where to put them or where you can put your finger down on, but
it's so spot on because you played out with scene bands. Militia, when I think Militia Group, I think indie, and then Columbia, I think polish and pop, so you guys are kind of one of one in that respect. But it got me thinking, this was 04, 05. Where were you guys at as a band? Like, were you full time? Like, I imagine you'd have to be. Like, in 2025, you can do the whole hybrid thing. Like, that's normal. Back then, that didn't exist. So were you guys all in at that point?
Yeah, we definitely were. I want to say probably like maybe 03, midway through 03, we actually were like full time, where we were rehearsing and writing a lot and then touring as much as we could. So yeah, they're definitely full time.
You guys are probably early 20s at that point.
I would have been 23.
Yeah. Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You guys wrote this freaking album in your early 20s.
I mean, I don't know. Is that correct?
Yeah.
A lot of the bands that we would like, especially the bands that we took out on tour for some of their initial tours, though, like Paramore and Panic and stuff, they were young. Like, I remember, I think Haley was 15 or something when they were out with us. And if you look at that record, I mean, that's crazy to me. But, that sounds 23 to me. It's like we should have been writing like
LP5 at that point.
Something like that. When you compare them to like when those bands and how young they were and how amazing the stuff they were putting out was, not just because of their age. You know what I mean? It's just, but when you put that into perspective, it's pretty wild. I would not want anybody to hear whatever I was pumping out at 15.
Yeah.
Right? No shit, right?
I'm the youngest guy in the band, and I did have to ask my parents if I could go on tour. I was still living at home.
That's awesome.
Just graduated high school. My first show at the band was like 3 days after I graduated high school. And so, we're kicking this thing off and like, didn't really know what it was going to be. The guys had like a West Coast tour thing and it was supposed to be just, maybe a week at most. And, I just joined the band. They're like, hey, can you go do this? I'm like, well, I don't know. I got to go ask my mom. And so I got permission to go on tour. So when all this was kind of coming around with the Phantom stuff, I might have been 21, but I think I was about 19, 20, which is just.
I think you were 19. I feel like that sounds right.
So I was only 4 years off from the 15 thing. So yeah, it does feel crazy to me.
So the record, it comes out April 26, 2005. If you can dial it back, take us back to like March 05. Like, obviously the record's done, hasn't come out yet. You must know it's a banger, right?
Maybe.
I mean, with the leak, I feel like everyone
The
knew.
leak, yeah.
The leak really took some wind out of our sail, I think. Not that we weren't excited for it to actually come out, but like a lot of, I mean, we had heard a lot of feedback about the record before it came out. And, you know, people, yeah, I guess it was a banger.
Yeah, it is. It still is.
Certified. How about you, Ryan? Like what do you think?
So if I'm thinking like, 4 weeks, 6 weeks out from when record release, I think just a ton of excitement, right? Like we worked really, really hard. A lot of love and passion went into the record and the whole process. And it was such a cool thing, I think, for the guys and for all of us in the band, just to have this really cool opportunity. So more than anything, more than kind of it being overshadowed by the leak and who had it and what the label was going to do to respond to like people illegally downloading all this stuff. I think more than anything, we were just really excited to have it kind of like officially out there in the world. You signed your contract, you've been playing a ton of shows, and to be at that moment where it's like, oh, it's real. Like, it's in the world. Oh, it could go to radio. Oh, it could do X, Y, or Z. Oh, it could put us back on tour forever. It's just, I don't know. When you get to that moment, I was just really excited. And I think the rest of the guys were too, right? Like, what is this going to open up? Right? What kind of opportunities is this going to afford? Like, we get to keep doing this. This is crazy. It's surreal. So I was genuinely just super excited to have it out.
Yeah. And if I could back up to when you asked if we knew it was a banger or not, I was more so, I think all of us in the band felt like it was a banger. Like we were all really excited about the record and super proud of it. And like Ryan said, really, stoked to get it out there. I was more so maybe referring to like already assuming that other people were going to think it was a banger.
Right
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
You should have, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Yeah. And that's a tough time too, right? Because that happened a lot in the early 2000s when the internet was really taking off and a lot of people were getting their hands on things earlier than they should have. And that, I mean, nowadays it's a little harder to do that, I think. Like stuff doesn't necessarily leak the same way that it did because people have a better handle on the internet and watermarking all stuff. But this is the wild west of the internet, and it sucks to have that happen, man. I feel bad for anybody that had that happen in that time frame.
It was 9 months early too, I'm pretty sure. So it was
Jesus.
It felt like by the time we were done with the record till it came out, felt like a really long time. I don't know if you remember that, but I felt like it felt like an eternity before that sucker came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just knowing that people were getting their hands on it as early as 9 months ahead of time, it was like, maybe we should just put it out.
Yeah, right.
Just do stuff to it.
It's interesting to look back on it. It's like I wonder if it helped, right? Like if it helped kids coming out to shows, if it helped kind of driving excitement to get people in the door. It is what it is, right? Like you weren't going to stop it, but like were there positives from it, right? Like did it start to kind of build the band up and create this sort of, and I'm just coining words that like people have talked about, but like there is kind of like this weird thing about the band. Like it's kind of shrouded in this whole, the band got way bigger after we broke up. Was part of that due to like the legend? It was part of that due to like people finding out about it early and coming to shows. Like you can kind of go a lot of different ways with it, but I wonder if there are positives from that whole thing. Just it was crazy, wild time.
Well, you guys got me. I basically donated $12. I didn't even go to the show. Like I loved it so much. I'm like, take my money.
Again, man, the ROI on that $12 spent, like,
yeah,
show the acceptance plays whenever. So I the ROI was pretty good.
Yeah,
that might be a lifetime get into the show card right there.
The golden ticket, baby.
Like the MLB golden ticket, right? Isn't that? So you said something, Ryan, which I totally agree. Tony and I were talking about it like all week, that this is a band that got bigger after they were done, right? And so obviously we're celebrating 20 years of Phantom, so everyone's like, holy shit, that record rules. But like, at what point after the album comes out did that become apparent? Like, I know you guys got back together about 10 years ago, but at what point did you guys kind of notice like, holy shit, like we kind of have a cult classic?
I don't know that really any of us noticed it other than Christian, because Christian obviously was still touring full time, and every once in a while he would check in with us, and it seemed to happen more frequently over the years, but he would always be like, I'm out on tour with Amberland. He's like, every single person that stops me that wants to say hi, wants to talk about acceptance. And he was always kind of, leading into conversations as far as like, he's like, I think if we actually got back together, we'd be surprised how many people remember the band or how many new people got into the band, after 2006. But I don't, as far as, anyway, I don't know. Ryan, you can continue with that.
I mean, I think so. When we broke up, we walked, like a lot of us just walked, and we walked for a long time. And I think a lot of us didn't necessarily look back. I think if you were to ask Jason, we were very much like all in on it. And then we were all not in on it. Right. And so I think there was like a big distance and kind of a gap, like a void. And I know personally, I wasn't paying attention to what was happening in the scene. I went off and I did the next chapter of my life. And I think that was the same for a lot of us. And so you would catch it every once in a while over the years where somebody would have like, you see a comment on something or somebody mentions it, like that album really meant something to me. And like, you hear that and you're like, wow, that's like, maybe there is something to it. And then you've got someone like Christian who would come back off tour and the stories Kaylan was saying. He's like, no, you guys, like, this is actually a thing. Like, people do care about the band, right? Like, it did mean something. It did have an impact. And I think for the guys in this band, we've just always done it in a way where it's like, we just want the music to be impactful, but like, we're also not we've never been like, especially in the hiatus, like so invested where you're just kind of like constantly trying to figure out like if people care or not, like we did our thing and we hoped it resonated. But I don't know if like our hopes went beyond that, like I don't know if we kept paying attention, like we hoped we did the best we could. And then when it turned out that folks really did care and it really had this sort of like personal impact on them and they really gravitated towards this record after we were gone, I think, there was a sort of like we couldn't believe it a little bit. We were just like, there's no way, like it was hard to understand that impact. But then, we took the plunge when we got back together in 2015. And I think Christian wasn't lying. Like we really did see that it was tangible. Right. And I think the band, like it just became this thing that was like rejuvenating. It's like, whoa, right. Like this had some value. This meant something to people. And like, yeah, some cool stuff with this record. And that kind of fueled like what we've done since. And I think it's just all about gratitude, all about really belief that the stuff that you do matters, and you don't know where it's going to matter or how it's going to matter, but it does. And it's just very, very thankful for that.
Well, and it's cool that you were able to feel that, even if maybe you were on hiatus at that point, right? That people were starting to make mention of it or you'd find it on the internet somewhere, or Christian would come back from tour and be like, hey, people were stopping me, asking about it. And to be able to get something from that, even though you maybe weren't a band anymore. And now today it's way easier to be, have your band be a thing you can do and also do other things because the internet helps. And but you can still be you and still resonate with people doing it the hybrid way in 2025. And really even starting probably about 10 years ago, but the pandemic obviously put that into hyperdrive. But that's cool that you're able to get back out there and do it. And the leading to this and the the reissue and the reimagining of Phantoms 20 years on. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a new perspective, right? Like we're all getting a little bit older. We have families. We've had time to reflect on the things we did with the original Phantoms. And I think we've just, since getting back together in 2015, where we had no idea that we were going to redo Phantoms, I think we've just had a completely different perspective. And yeah, it's easier now to kind of do it on your own terms and be able to kind of like work around life that we all like, the lives that we all have. But yeah, without having the people that are still there asking for it and supporting us, wouldn't be able to do it. So I think our perspective is just fully on gratitude right now and just being thankful for the opportunity to get to do this and keep going.
How does this go down? Is there a phone call? Is there like a group chat that someone late nights like, let's revisit that album, this unfinished business? Like, how does it go down?
Kaylan's like the best historian. And kick it over to him.
I am? There wasn't like, I think there was like a string of just kind of conversations where we were kicking around the idea. And, over the years, kind of along the same lines of like, stories where Christian would come back. I mean, there would be glimpses of, people that were inspired by the record that are now, doing other things and are have completely taken off, but they've credited Phantoms as a reason of, why they're doing that, or, as part of their creative process and stuff. And so we kind of started getting the idea that, maybe there's other people that would want to be involved in this. And that's kind of how it started. And I think Aaron was a driving force, because Aaron had a lot of the same experience as Christian did, where, he's recorded so many bands over the years. And a lot of the work he would get, the bands would come in and say, like, we want to come to you because you did Phantoms. And so I think that mixed with a lot of, Christian's experiences, and then, stuff we would see online over the years, would just kind of spurred the idea of, like, maybe we can do this. Maybe we can get, people that are really invested and passionate about the band and the record. If they want to be involved, that'd be super cool. And we started kind of kicking the idea around, and it just kind of just all fell in place. I mean, honestly, I never really thought it was going to fully get done till it was done. And I don't know if you can attest to that, Ryan, but it literally kind of just fell into place, it seemed like.
Yeah, it didn't feel real until it was like real, just the way this band kind of operates, and the space that we're in to be able to do things like this. Like, a little bit of it's hair on fire. Well, a lot of it is hair on fire, like super chaotic, crazy ideas. Is it going to work? Is it not? Well, let's make some phone calls. Where are we going to get budget? Like, how are we going to do this? And we push it. Like, the last 3 records, I feel like we've pushed it right up until like the deadline. And then it just comes across and just turns out being this super fucking cool thing, that we were all able to accomplish. I think with the Phantoms one, it was interesting too, to kind of see what Amberlin, our Acceptance has a very grateful and interesting relationship with the Amberlin camp. We kind of just like watch what they're like, the big brothers, they kind of watch what they do. We just follow suit, and we saw what they were doing with Maddie kind of singing for the band now, and redoing that record. I think it was Never Take Friendship. And it was really cool. So I think there was a little bit of like, that's a re-envisioning. That's a retake on those songs. That's a new life. That's like a new voice, and kind of a new character to it. And that was part of the conversation too, right? Like, well, what if we did something like that, but not with just one singer? Like, we've got all these people that we've made friends with, and they've expressed, they've reached out, they've talked about the album being impactful. And it's like, well, cool. Let's put together a wish list of like, if we could have anybody sing these songs, like, let's do it. And I think that kind of fueled a lot of getting to where we got. And we were very, very fortunate to have a lot of really, really good-hearted, cool people kind of like raise their hand and say, yeah, hell yeah, I want to do it. Like, let's go. And you can hear it when you listen to the songs. Like, it doesn't sound like anybody half-assed it. It sounds like their heart and soul are in every single song. And I'm really pumped for people to hear the rest of it.
It sounds like they know the songs and have lived with the songs. It's not like a paid feature. These are people that have lived it. You can tell through and through.
Oh, for sure, dude. I mean, you can hear it in like the harmonies, the vocal timbre, like how hard they're singing on certain parts. Like, we had, I don't know. Well, yeah. I mean, the track listing's out. So I was talking with Mitch Grassi, who sings on In the Cold, and I was just like, hey man, thank you for doing this. Like, this is crazy. Like, you took the time to do this. And he's like, why? Like, I can't believe you're thanking me. Like, I got to sing the harmonies that I heard in my head when I first heard this record as a kid, and to me, it's like, holy shit, that's it. Right. Like, that's why you do something like this.
That rules. Yeah.
And it's like goosebump moment for me, but like super cool stuff like that. And you can hear it, that identity, sort of that passion in each track. And it's super humbling and just very, very exciting.
Yeah, we love all the stuff where like they, when they would take liberties and kind of deviate and do their own thing, which was super exciting for us.
So that was always the plan. Do it a little different, have some people who were invested in the record that have been, reaching out and saying they loved you guys and love the record, to maybe bring them in and have that be part of the reimagining.
For sure.
Yeah, I think Aaron Sprinkle, when he was kind of talking with the guests and kind of setting out, what the plan was for it, he didn't put a lot of guardrails. He's like, sing as many of the parts as you possibly can. If you have cool ideas, do it. Like, put yourself into the song. I think that's really important for the band, to have you be a part of this as much as the band was a part of whatever you've done. And I think by not setting those guardrails and just letting the artists like let that go in the song and their takes and renditions of it, like it created something pretty special for everybody involved, right? Like me, Kaylan, the band, the people singing. I think the fans are really gonna get something special out of it too, and it's just a really cool approach.
Well, and that is, you could just go re-record it, right? You maybe some new studio things. You've got lived experience. Obviously, 20 years has passed, and it would sound different, but it wouldn't be. It would just be a re-record. It's more fun to bring in more people and have the guardrails taken off and have people who care about it be a part of a song and get to do it that way. It sounds like summer camp. Like it's a lot of just amazing times with different people coming in and being creative and finding new ways to kind of love these songs.
And to put that in a very like present sort of vocal way, right? Like you hear it, and you're right, 100%. Like really, really cool.
So I saw on Instagram you guys posted Teddy Swims. He was being interviewed on another podcast and talking about like influences, and how he obviously mentions you guys. He's probably like one of the more recent voices on the album. A lot of these other folks either would be in parallel with maybe at the end of the original run or when you came back, or even in parallel with Amberlin. But at what point do you find out like he's a fan?
Well, Jay, I think he had reached out to Jason a few years ago on Instagram or something, or maybe Jay reached out to him. I don't know, Ryan, if you remember. Either Jay reached out to, I think it was, actually, no, I take that back. I think Jason reached out to him. He saw a cover he did and just sent him a message. And I guess Teddy responded immediately, because I don't think Jason knew that there was any connection there. And he was super stoked. And he was like, oh my gosh, Acceptance is like my favorite band. I can't believe, and wow. That kind of started early on. I mean, that was well before he started blowing up like he is now. But so I want to say that him and Jay have kind of been talking back and forth for maybe 4 or 5 years. I know Jason met him. We played the first When We Were Young. I know he came out there and they hung out too for a while. And then I think when we were kicking out names, obviously we're like, well, it'd be super cool if Teddy did something. And then we hit him up and he was pretty much instantly on board.
He smokes it on that track.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Smoked it. Yeah.
It's super cool. Like, yeah. Every performance on the record we're completely stoked on, but like that one too, when he turned the vocals in, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe it.
yeah, that's awesome. And it's like, it's stuff that you wrote too, so it's like, oh man, the fulfilling nature of that must be so awesome. Just like, this is something that's resonated with all these people, and all these people who are also making things that people resonate with are down with something that we did. That's got to be so fulfilling.
That's like that for me. That's like the coolest thing is knowing that we've created something that that is like a soundtrack to a part of their. Because I feel like there's a lot of. I mean, I love a lot of records, but at the same time, there's a few that just really mean something, and that really just are like almost like a time machine, right? Take you to these moments, and I feel like I think Phantoms for people is that record, and that is just that's. I just love that. I love that we made something that's that for people.
It just shows how connected it all is, right? Like you've got people who have the responsibility of creating music and putting things out into the world and expressing like their voice and trying to say something through their art and their craft. And I think with this record redoing Phantoms and with folks like Teddy and Jack and everybody, you just see, right? Like this gets connected. There's just like these weird streams that just like fuel this singer to do something and fuel this artist to do something. And then you start to see like, wow, the impact gets like amplified, right? Like it's exponential in a certain extent. And to be some sort of part of that, some really, really small part of that for other artists is like wildly, wildly humbling, but also just, it's really cool, right? Like to have a small little part that you've played in kind of like this connected thing that we're all trying to do and just create cool shit, send a message and like reach folks, right?
Well, I know a band that rides very hard for you guys is A Loss for Words. Do you guys know those guys?
Maddie, yeah.
So
sure.
Maddie and Mikey, my sister's friends with them. She flew them in for her wedding 3 years ago, and they covered So Contagious at her wedding. And Maddie crushed it. He smoked.
That dude is such a good singer, and he's just like a good-hearted human. We saw him. I ran into him. He was at a booth doing his thing at when we were young, and like I haven't seen him, talk to him in years, and instantly walk by, and he's just like, "What's up?" And just the biggest hug, and just really, really good dude. And I think Jason did a song, right? I think he did a guest
He did. Yeah.
with the guy.
Their Crisis album. Yeah. And he smoked that feature too. Jason did. But yeah, it's all this like interconnected web for you guys. Take Cover, all-time album opener. Like that was it a tough choice to put that track one? I can't imagine it was. Like that, it seems like just the natural all-time banger opener.
No, I mean, I don't even remember the conversation or like, trying to figure out what was the opener. It probably, I think it was just the obvious choice. I think, especially with the intro and stuff that, that intro happened kind of in the studio, but I'm sure it just was, there was a big spotlight shining down on it. Like, this is number one.
Well, I was 20 or 19 when the album dropped, and the first lyrics are "She's a liar." I'm like, I'm in. These guys, I'm so in.
Yeah.
That song went through an evolution. I mean, Kaylan can talk to it better than I probably could, but like it wasn't what we went in with during pre-recording and pre-sessions to what happened with it on the way out was pretty crazy. I think, Jason and had this thought where he's like, the song is just not that rad right now. Like we need to completely redo it. And this is at the end, right? The tail end of the record, like when we're just about wrapped up with everything. And so really, really odd that that's probably one of the more popular songs on the record. And then it's the album opener too. It's like, it wouldn't have been, had Jason and I think Kaylan was part of that conversation too, and Aaron just say like, yeah, we got to redo the whole thing.
I remember Jason, he references that song a lot as the song we redid in the studio, but I think it's Over You. I don't remember. I mean, there's definitely a ton of production elements on Take Cover that changed. Like the intro sound and stuff, I think was a guitar initially, and then it turned into what it is now. But you could be right. I mean, I could be totally like went through a black hole and forgot the whole thing. But
that's the story we're going with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there any thought to tinkering with changing up the way the record sat, or was it always just leave it, but we have the features now?
Oh, with the track listing, or
yeah, sequencing.
No, we definitely Aaron was pretty adamant, and even to a point where like I would have actually liked to have gotten a little more experimental, maybe with some of the arrangements and the approaches to some of the songs, but I think it was probably for the best that we kept it because it's pretty close to home. I mean, there's a few little bells and whistles here and there that are on the new versions that, sounds that weren't there, but for the most part, it's pretty much part for part a re-record, obviously with, some different vision with the other artists involved. But no, definitely the track listing, the sequencing we never talked about changing that up.
If it ain't broke, right? Don't fix it. It's good.
There was the one thing I will say, there was talk, because at first we didn't know what we were going to do with Ad Astra, the instrumental, because we didn't really have a feature idea for it. So we were like, well, what are we going to do? And honestly, a couple of us were kind of burnt out on the idea of even re-recording that. So we did talk a little bit about just writing something completely new and then swapping it kind of as a mid-album track, just something fresh. But the label definitely wanted the album intact and full. So, maybe we'll get to mess around with some new ideas later. But I think what we ended up with for Ad Astra is really cool, though, too. I think people will really like it when they hear it.
All right. So we're at the time of recording, we're 20 years out, and like the records had time to breathe. Like obviously you probably toured off the record for a year, right? And you get all these stories from Christian. Hey, this, people dig what we did back then, guys, all this. All these years later, even through the reimagining, how do you guys look back at it? Like, is this your baby?
That's a good question, Kaylan. So you go first.
Give me time to think.
I don't know if I consider it my baby. I love Wild Free and I love Colliding by Design. I love both those records. It gave us, especially going into doing Colliding, there was definitely a lot of opinions on how it was supposed to sound, what we were going to do. Are we going to make Phantoms Part 2? Are we going to do, and we ended up with what we got. And I know everybody in the band, we love that record, and we love Wild Free. But as far as I don't know if I'd call it my baby, but like I said, I feel like the impact it's made and what it means to people definitely keeps it kind of towards the top of the heap as far as it's just an awesome thing to know that it's what it's meant to people and what it's created for them.
That's an interesting one, right? Like we owe so much to just Phantoms and kind of the place that it holds, right? Like nothing else after Phantoms happens without it, right? Like I think we could have just been a one and done band, or we could have gone on to do more records and have the potential to do even more. And I think that's attributable to like Phantoms. And so I mean, to me, it may not be my favorite Acceptance record, but like I respect it in the sense that it's kind of opened up opportunities for us to do what I think would be my favorite Acceptance record, which is Wild Free, right? Like, and I think we just owe a lot to how that record translated for folks. So yeah, I've got an interesting view on it. I think I've looked maybe, but it's very much a part of the identity. Like it's the lifeblood of kind of Acceptance in 2025, right?
Has doing this and bringing this all back together and adding the features and getting it, digging into creating it again, really led you to some different stuff that you might try down the line?
I think the one thing, I mean, between the 3 records we've done, Phantoms, Colliding, and Wild Free, none of them, they're not the same. I think we haven't been too scared of trying something completely different, right? Like you go from Phantoms, which is what it is, and you go into Colliding, and that was a very, very intentional. We wanted that thing to sound very tight, very focused, very like contained in a certain degree. And then you go into something like Wild Free, where it was kind of the opposite of that. And so I think the band hasn't shied away. Like we're going to approach every record like we always do and just try to write the best damn record we can and represent kind of our thoughts and ideas at that moment that hopefully go out there and resonate with folks, right? So I don't think it's changed anything. I think to me, what it's done is just kind of, again, rejuvenated the band to like want to do that next thing, whatever that next thing looks like.
For sure. I mean, I agree with all that. I mean, I think it's definitely gotten the juices flowing again. It's kind of pulled me back into, kind of a heavier rhythm guitar section and stuff where if we were to continue to work on music in the future and stuff, I could see maybe where we go might sit closer to home, back towards that direction.
I've never been in a band before. Like I couldn't even play one single note.
You were kind of in a band. You keep saying that. You were kind of in a band.
I was in a band. Trust me, I'm not in a band. But living through your shoes, it must be so freaking cool to see like the younger generation even know about you guys, right? Because how many bands? I mean, there's a lot of bands that are getting like a renaissance,
A ton. Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it must be so cool that's like, hey, the old heads, us, Tony and I, 40, 41, we're still in. But then, like, I mean, I don't have kids that age, but old enough for this, but like there may be like kids, adults our age that have kids that are like 16 and they're into this. It's a timeless record, it's a timeless sound. You throw in the features, a lot of names that maybe people know of currently. That must be cool.
No, it's totally cool. And there is a lot of exposure right now. There's a lot of new eyes and ears on the band, and we couldn't be more thrilled about that. It's super cool.
Yeah, it just reminds me of like, I don't know, when I was that age, when I was 16, 15, 14, that age gap where it's like you're discovering new stuff, you're hearing it for the first time, you're going to Hot Topic and you're like buying the shirt, like it kind of, I know people probably don't do that anymore, but it just watching kind of a younger response and to Kaylan's point, the new eyeballs that are on it, it's like, it's kind of cool, like a band that was in your shoes at that age, right? Like you're kind of right there. It's pretty cool.
They should be doing that. They should be going to Hot Topic and buying T-shirts and buying records and wherever, not just Hot Topic, but go do that. Go to the mall and find your new favorite band. They could be 20 years old. There's nothing wrong with that.
I went into Hot Topic the other day for the first time in a long time, and they got a lot of band shirts on that wall.
A lot of band shirts.
Awesome.
Do they still have records?
I think so.
They might have a small little section. I don't remember. It was a smaller Hot Topic the other day, but I definitely felt out of place in there. But it was still all the band stuff.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Kaylan, what band shirt did you buy?
At Hot Topic?
Yeah,
Yeah,
did you buy
which one? Which one did you buy?
I didn't. I was more looking like kind of more like 80s sci-fi horror shirts or something. I didn't buy anything, but that's what I would have was more in the market for to see if they had something like that.
We'll turn it on you. Which shirt would you have bought?
A band shirt, or I was looking for something more alien.
Which band shirt you would have bought though? Of everything on the wall, who had the coolest band shirt? Because that used to be very, very important in 05.
I don't know, man. If in 05, it would have been a Hot Water Music shirt.
Nice.
Name
nice.
3 songs. Name 3 songs.
Oh,
No, I'm
jeez,
just
here
kidding.
we go.
The whole Caution album. There you go. How's that?
Yeah, yeah. They're coming up our neck of the woods here in a couple of months, so I'm excited to go see them for the first time.
You've never seen them.
Hot Water?
Yeah,
Never seen 'em.
Nope.
I've never seen them. I'm not sure how, but we live in Maine. No one gives a shit about us.
That's a big reason is nobody comes to Maine. They're actually not coming to Maine. They're coming to New Hampshire, but it's only like 45-minute drive for me, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to go.
Joy, who are they playing with?
They're playing with a band that a local band for us called Borderlines, and who's the other band on that bill?
I think it's locals. Yeah.
Yeah. Which it was cool that we saw that we've had the Borderlines guys on with us before that they were opening. So I was like, oh, even more reason to go as we've friends of the pod are opening the show. So and it's a dive bar, awesome spot.
They rip. We love Ryan and I. We love Flight in the Crash and Caution. We listened to those records a ton back then. That's during the Phantoms writing process and stuff too.
Wow.
Like the guitar tones that you're about to experience when you go see them are just like epic.
Nice.
Like, I feel like all the bands in that kind of spot, their guitar tones are insane. That band is just cool. And Chuck's voice is like
Better than ever.
It's still, yeah.
Which if you could imagine, which makes it that much cooler to me, like that it's even that nasty, like nastier than what you do on the records. Like, hell yeah. Like they're so good live. It's fun.
Yeah, their blueprint. They're like an aging band blueprint.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of tour, you guys got some shows, and we're talking to you probably. It's gonna drop in between the set of shows that you have, but still some October dates in Worcester, Brooklyn, and Philly. Any bells and whistles? Any surprises? Any tricks up your sleeve for these?
Just get there and get through the set.
Hope we don't suck. Yeah.
I love it.
They can't. If it's a surprise, they can't tell a surprise.
Those will probably be the best shows as a band because we'll have those. That's the last batch of three shows we're playing. So
of all the shows, those will be the tightest ones from this run. So those are probably, yeah, to Kaylan's point. Advil before and after the set, and you should be good to go.
Yeah, smart. Yeah, and that's the other thing, right? We get older, and you want to get there. You want to make sure everything feels good, and get through and connect with the crowd for a little while.
For us, rehearsals definitely a challenge. We wish we could play more because it would when we do play, there might be 2 or 3 years in between shows, so it makes putting a set together and getting ready kind of a daunting task on occasion. But rehearsal makes it challenging. It is a challenging thing with Christian and Jason living out of state. But yeah, we do our best.
How is it just playing shows all these years later? Like, I mean, you're like 22, 23, 24 years removed from playing. Like, is it tough getting older playing? Is it easier because maybe you're better musicians? How is that?
I don't really feel like it's. I think it's more of a mental thing for me of wanting to make sure that it goes off well, right? Because people are excited to see the band, and it's like, oh, geez, I wish you could have seen us after we'd played 20 shows in a row. But physically, it's weird. I feel like I should be ailing more, but I don't. It doesn't feel that much different. I don't feel like it's that far removed from when we were playing in our mid-20s. I don't know. How do you feel, Ryan?
Yeah, I agree. It's fully mental. The cardio is good. I feel like the cardio is pretty good. Muscle memory is there for the most part. It's like a mental thing for me for sure. It's not my day-to-day anymore. It used to be, right? Like you used to play 200, 300 shows a year, and like that's just what you did. It was like automatic. The crowd, the people singing, and like not that you get. I don't think if you've ever toured, I don't know if you ever like get to the point where it's not rad every time, but it definitely, you get sensitized to it, right? Like it becomes like a thing. For me, it's like even the Seattle show, just mentally like, oh, there's a lot of people out there. Oh, I don't do this. Oh, I have to go back to work on Monday and do my real job. It's like there's all this crazy stuff, but then the intro music hits and you walk on the stage and like it, I don't know, it's kind of cool. Like I felt like I was just back at it like I was 20 years ago. So I think the mental hurdle to get onto the stage is probably the hardest part for me. But then once we're on there, it just feels awesome. I can't do guitar throws like I used to, but like I still have a really good time.
I stretch a lot. That's
Smart.
more than we used to. I think that's what saves me.
But it's muscle memory, right? You've done it. So, and especially with records and music that you've been playing for years and created years ago. It's once you step out and the lights are on you, you're good to go because you've done it before.
Yeah, I think that's true for a good bulk of the songs.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to me. Like this thing, like you said, Tony, that you created all these years ago in your youth. People still love it, and you still, like you as the creator, still connect with it enough to put this out. It's amazing. It's so cool. I'm dialing back to my early 20s, and if it was something that I started with a close group of friends that resonated into my 40s, that would be the coolest thing in the world. So cool.
It is.
I've just to look at it and just to say like we're still singing these songs with these people, and a lot of the people that keep coming to the shows too, like recently they were there. They'll tell us stories where like the first time they saw us was at like a basement show or at a youth center or something, you know, like it's
the Axis in Boston, right?
or the Axis, yeah.
Right. Like it's cool that we've all done it. Like not the band, but like the people that supported the band are still showing up and showing out.
It's cool. It's cool meeting families and stuff too. And like being able to bring our kids and stuff to shows is awesome.
Cool shit.
All right, Ryan and Kaylan, this was a blast. Really stoked for people to go listen to the record if they haven't. It's out. Well, this is going to come out the Monday after, so it's out. Go spin it. If you're here, you probably were spinning it all weekend. And thanks for listening to us talk to Ryan and Kaylan about it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Podioslave. We are at Podioslave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Podioslave Podcast, YouTube, Podioslave Podcast there. Email us at podioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.